Go live for Carol. I am live on YouTube. Yay. One of the things I did ask yesterday, though, myself, and I pondered on it. I wrote it down. I thought about it. I see a lot of times where people say, they used me. I was used by them. Folks used me. They didn't do nothing but use me. And I thought about that thing used, that word used. And I said to myself, okay, well, if someone used you, if you can't be used, I'm going to put it this way. And then y'all tell me what y'all think. If you can't be used, does that make you useless? If you can't be used, does that make you useless? Because my thing is, don't you want to be used? Or are we using used in a more connotation of somebody took advantage of? Because if somebody took advantage of, then that would be somebody taking advantage of you, not somebody using you. Right? On this beautiful Mindset Monday. Ain't that a twister for your mind? So if somebody's used, you want to be used, because if you can't be used, then you're useless, right? I mean, if you can't use me for what I'm being used for, does that make me, you know what I'm saying? If I can't be used, does that make me useless? There you go. Y'all answer. Good morning, Facebook. So you let me know. Does that make you, if you can't be used, does that make you useless? I don't know. Does that make you useless? I don't know. I want somebody to answer that for me. I don't know. What you think, sir? Good morning, Miss Jocelyn. Good morning, Sister Jocelyn. Our question this morning is, good morning, Pooh. Yes, happy Mindset Monday. If you can't be used, does that make you useless? Does that make you useless? I don't know. I believe I want somebody. It depends on the content of use of me. Okay, so Sister May said it depends on the content of use of me. Sister Jocelyn said, why do we need to be used? Being resourceful and being used is the question. Well, no. So Sister Jocelyn said, why do we need to be used? Being resourceful and being used is the question. Sister Pooh said, it does not. It means that person or that situation does not need you. Move on to where you are needed to be used. So it doesn't make you useless. That's what you're saying, Sister Pooh. I'm going to start there. It doesn't mean you're useless, but it means that person or that situation does not need you. So move on to where you need to be used. Sister Jocelyn said, why do we need to be used? Can't we just be it's being resourceful and being used? Is that the question? And Sister May said, it depends on the content of use of me. But I'm going to say it again. Because if you're being used, when someone says they used me, I understand the content of what Sister May is saying, but again, I'm questioning being used, because if you can't be used, again, does that make you useless? Now, Sister Pooh said no. That just means you need to move on to where you can be used at. But you want to be used, right? I mean, you want to be used. If you can't be used, then what can you be doing? Whether you're using the word used or not, I think used has become speaking to Sister Jocelyn, I think used has become like a negative, and Sister May, a negative connotation. Because in the end, you want to be used, right? I think no one wants to be used negatively. But I think used has become a negative connotation, if I'm making sense. Sister Pooh, I say that to say that the Lord created us to be used. We are a vessel. We have a purpose. Yes, I totally agree. We do have a purpose, so we are to be used. But I think people have took that word use, again, in a negative connotation. Because my thing is, if you can't be used, It doesn't necessarily mean you're useless, but like you said, you got to move on to where you can be used at because you want to be used. Sister Jocelyn said to say you were used means that after the fact, you are upset with how you were treated. No one wants to feel thrown away. So here's Sister Jocelyn. So when you say used because of how you were treated, did you overextend your use? Meaning if I need something from you, I'm going to use you to get it. But if you overextend the use, then that makes you feel some type of way. Is that on me or is that on you? There you go. Answer that one. Because if I can be used, I want to be used. Because that's, again, we are here. We were created to be used. We are a vessel. We have a purpose. So if you're using me, use me. But if I overextend, is that on me? Probably so, but that is on me. Yeah, probably so. Okay. What do you say, Sister May? Because I feel like if you're going to be used, you can't overextend. Meaning, if someone comes to you for a certain reason, and you are allowing yourself to be used in that capacity, don't go over the capacity of what you're doing. You know how, like, if you're used to give somebody something and you do that, but then you overextend what you're giving, and then you become upset because you've overextended what you gave. It's like, no, don't overextend. Just do what you can do. And then you don't have to feel like you were used or someone said it, taken advantage of or mistreated in that type of way. I feel like if you use what you can to do what you can, and that's it and that's all, and then you don't have to feel like somebody, took advantage of you. But you have to be used in the capacity that you use for, and don't overextend. And then you don't have to feel useless. You don't have to feel useless. I hear people say that too. You useless or this and that. Well, first of all, I'm not useless because I have to be used in the capacity I have to be used in. But then I'm not going to overextend myself, and then I don't feel like somebody used me or took advantage of me or mistreated me. Sister Jocelyn said we should be giving of ourselves what we can. We are not obligated to anyone and anything, and we should be a blessing because we should serve wholeheartedly. Yes, we should serve wholeheartedly. We should be a blessing to others. And again, I think that has a boundary on it when you are done. So everybody, just like your body works, our body parts work, right? We have our hands, we have our eyes, we have our ears and our feet and our legs. And so each one has their own job, right? And each one has their own job on a good morning, sis. Good morning. Each one has their own job on a nerve pathway. Our nerves and our brain are connected to our bodies, and this up here is the control center. So we all have our job to do. And if we're doing our jobs in the ability that we do them in, the feet is not going to take over for the hands, and the hands ain't going to take over for the feet. The eye is not going to work for the mouth, and the mouth ain't going to work for the ear. So we all have our jobs to do, and we are using our body parts and our limbs and our eyes and nose and things like that effectively so that they can work together. Not that the other one works for the other one. Okay, Sister May said, I've been used for purpose and gain of others. I can't say I've been upset with my ability to be used. I just set out for a greater comeback, which kind of scales out the thought of me being used. She put it in quotes. So my kids use me all the time, and this morning they used me for sure. Who ain't being used by their children, baby? Say it again. Sister Pooh says, in this chat alone, it has been confirmed that used, taken advantage of, overextended are all things that are different. Yes. And that's the point, because people need to know that they are different. And I think that people don't understand that they are. And so people use them cohesively, saying it, but it doesn't mean it. And words have meanings. Words have meanings. Words have, they have meanings to them. And so when you use them, You got to understand why you're using them and when you use them and how you use them. Although some people have different understandings of them, and it's okay to have a different understanding of them. I think the important part is that with all thy getting, as they say, get an understanding. And all thy getting, get an understanding, because you want to understand the words that you are using. Of course, you went to healthcare. I just explained that to one of my patients about her specialist. Stop using your PCP and use your specialist. Yes, because the specialist is the one that, whatever problem she having, the specialist is the one, the person that is studying that. If they studied ears, then you go to the ear specialist. Why not? Why not? That's what you're supposed to do. You know, if they are specialists, and people don't understand that either. You know, speaking of healthcare, you know, when they don't understand it, you got to go to a specialist. You got to be referred out. Ask them to be referred out. Stop going. Here's the thing too, as we pivot, when she brought that up, made me think of something. Stop going to the ER. You're not going to get no answer in the emergency department. That's why they call it emergency department. Stop going to urgent care. You're not going to get an answer in urgent care. That's why they call it urgent. If you have a situation, you need to find you what you just say, a PCP, primary care physician, someone who knows your health history, and that's who you need to see when problems arise. If it's urgent or emergency, they know how to send you off. You see what I'm saying? See how that? You got to use the people effectively and in their proper places in order to have effective results. You can't get effective results using the wrong folks. That I want you to remember. You cannot get effective results using the wrong people. If you're using the wrong people, your results are never going to come out the way you want them to come out because you're using the wrong people. You have to use the correct folks in order to get effective results. If you're looking for effective results, because you have to use the right people. You have to talk to the right people in order to get those effective results. I'll say it that way. And so we should, I like all of the comments. We should be giving to each other wholeheartedly. We shouldn't feel obligated. You should be doing things in your, as Sister Pooh said, in your purpose. You should be doing things in your purpose, moving about in that, and not overextending yourself. And remembering that, we are all here to be used to some extent. And as Sister May said, her children use her all the time. Who ain't being used by their children? Honey, they know how to use us, don't they? They definitely know how to use us. Speaking of children and being used, we as parents too, we have a moral responsibility as parents. As mothers, fathers, as parents, we have a moral responsibility to teach our children about being used as well. Because they have to understand that they will be used. And they have to understand that if they're going to be used, they got to understand how they're being used, why they're being used, So those are things that we do. Because a lot of times they don't understand it. And then they'll go out and be like, well, this person, this and that. And they have to be, they have to be shared with, guided into as they get older. I'll put it that way, for the ones with older children, guided into knowing why they're being used, okay? Whether they're being taken advantage of, whether they're overextending themselves, or whether they're just working within the purpose of their work, okay? So on this Mindset Monday, we are talking about, good morning, thank you for joining. We are talking about being used. Is being used. If you can't be used, does that make you useless? If you can't be used, does that make you useless? And we have determined that no, it doesn't make you useless. We have determined that being used is not being taken advantage of. We have learned today that overextending yourself is not the same as being used. We have learned that all these areas that we talked about today are different. Each one of them are different, and that they are not the same. They are not the same. And that if you can't be used, we learned too that you need to go where you can be used at. Because sometimes people are working and operating in a place that's not where they should be used. Okay? And that is a sentence I just said. If you are operating in a place where your use cannot be used, move to where it can be used, because we all have something to give and we all have something to gain. And you can't receive or gain what you need if you're in the wrong place being used. Okay. So I don't believe that anything is useless. It just has its proper place to be used. And if you don't know what your proper place is to be used in, you probably should pray about that. That's my response on that. Pray about it, see where you can be used, and so that you can have effective results in being used. That's what you need. Effective results in being used. I thank you all for joining me today. I got a few affirmations I want to share with you. One of my affirmations I want to share with you is this: many people want to change their life, but they are not willing to change their choices. And ultimately, this changes nothing. Ain't that something? Many people want to change their life, but they are not willing to change their choices. And ultimately, this changes nothing. So if you ain't willing to change your choices, you ultimately ain't gonna change. You could be willing to want to change you want to change your life, but you got to change them choices, Pooh. And if you can't change them choices, this ultimately changes nothing. It changes nothing. Nothing changes if you can't change your choices. I want to change my life. I have to change my choices. If I can't change my choices, this ultimately changes nothing. And people might say, does that mean that? Good morning, hubby. Yes, that means that. You know why that means that? Because guess what? In the end of the day, if I don't change my choices and I keep doing the same choices over and over again, guess what? I'm going to have the same results. So it lines up with what we're talking about, people. When we talk about is being used, does being used make me useless? No, it doesn't make you useless. Doesn't make you useless. However, you do have to change some of your choices to change your life. If you changing your life, change your choices. All right, change your choices. Because if you don't, it ultimately what? Changes nothing. And then I want you guys to know this. Learn to admire the beauty in others without questioning your own beauty. We don't have to question who we are while we admire somebody else. We don't have to question and be insecure about where we are admiring someone else. You know, we don't have to. You know, we have to, we can admire the beauty in others without questioning our own beauty. All right, we are beauty within ourselves. My message therapist just told me that about stretching. Laugh out loud. That's right. Change how you stretch it so you get them effective results. All right. Y'all see my shirt today? I love this shirt. I love this shirt. It says, you are allowed to be a masterpiece. You are allowed to be a masterpiece. Okay. You are allowed to be both a masterpiece and a work in progress. All right. You are allowed to be loved. Good morning, Pooh. Pooh on here this morning. Good morning. Good morning, Sister Tierney. You are allowed to be both. All right. You are allowed to be a masterpiece and a work in progress. All right. I want you guys to learn to admire the beauty in others without questioning your own beauty. And then I want many people want to change their life, but they are not willing to change their choices. And ultimately, this changes nothing. So on that note, you know, if you can't be used, does that make you useless? No, it does not. No, it does not. I thank you guys for joining me this morning. I thank you guys for supporting me. Last week was a rough week. And it's still rough, but it's a little bit lighter this week. Continue to pray for my children and our family. Yep. I continue to pray. A very tough loss, a very hard loss, and they are going through it. And so, you know, it's me holding big old people on my lap. They're big children, they're adults. So I have to hold them on my lap and just get them all the love that they need. So send them hugs and kisses. And I thank you guys for your support. For anybody in the Milwaukee area, Michael Redmond Senior Services will be taking place on Saturday at Mount Greater Sinai Church of God in Christ on 60th off of 60th Street. I'll have the address and that info later this week. But again, I thank you all for your support and everything like that. But love on your people. Like I said, Pastor preached about family yesterday. Love on your people. Love on them, love on them, love on them. And if you don't, I don't know, try to fix what you can fix. But love on your people, because you never know. You never know. I want you guys to continue to live. I want you guys to continue to love. Never ever stop laughing. Laughing is good for the soul. Laughing is good for the soul. And I want you always to find some room in your heart to forgive. And just remember one love, because once we all learn how to love, it'll be a gorgeous place. Just love on peoples. Love on peoples. I want you guys to have a great day. I know I'm going to try to have me one. And remember, you're not useless. You just got to find that space to be used. Guys, have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.